in Los Angeles. And after I thought my performing career was over, I went back to teaching dance, which is what I was doing before I moved to Los Angeles to begin with. And I found myself on Wednesday mornings teaching adult tap. And the average age of my student was about, I'd say 65. All right. And so one faithful morning, I wake up early on a Wednesday morning, and I wasn't angry at the universe for giving me adult tap. I showered, I suited up, and I showed up for work knowing I wasn't going to make very much money, and I was going to be spending the next couple of hours with the geriatrics unit. Where this class was, there was a big picture window, and I used to always make sure that the blinds were open so that when people at the studio were walking by, they could view my class, and then hopefully they would find themselves signing up for a future class. Just a little way to advertise. So this one day, they're always having auditions at Debbie Reynolds Studios, always. And so it wasn't unusual that the place was packed with people that were doing an audition just across the hall. And unbeknownst to me, while they were on break, the casting directors for this Broadway show that was auditioning next door, and I didn't even realize it, they found themselves looking through the window. Now, if I had shown up that day angry at the universe for giving me adult tap and doing a slouchy job and not putting my best foot forward, they would not have even given me a second look. Instead, they saw me through the window and they're thinking, wait, I think this is our guy. And so my class is over. I get in the car. I'm driving home, and I get a call. From the studio. It's Roberta. She says, "Thommie, there's some Broadway casting director and meanwhile, I've already done a U-turn on Sherman Way before she's done saying this. And she says, we're wondering if you could come back to the studio for a minute. And of course, I'm already on my way back. And I said, sure, I'll be there in a second. Anyhow, so I had a real quick impromptu audition, and it went great. The casting call with several hundred people went right before me. So they didn't get the personal attention. It was just me and the choreographer. So wow. It ended up being really, really, really great. And then that was cool. On my way home, I get a call from New York, and it's the casting agents, and they're saying, hey, can you come back tomorrow? Same time, same place. I said, sure. So I come back tomorrow. We have an audition. Everything is cool. And then nothing for 3 months, not a peep. And then out of the clear blue sky, I get a call from, hey, we'd like you to come to New York for an audition. And so I'm thinking, okay, great. So I buy my own plane ticket like a fool. Listen, if it happens to you, they have to buy the ticket. Anyways, and then I got this tiny little closet of a hotel room for $350 for the night. And this is back in the day. This was 2012 or 2008. Anyhow, I have that audition. I get another call back for the next day. I go home. I don't hear anything for 3 months. Now we're 6 months into it. And so I figured, well, I didn't get it. And it's okay. It was a really fun experience. And lo and behold, I get another call, and they want me to come back to New York. And I said to him, look, I can't afford to. Oh, well, we'll fly you out. And I said, well, you going to put me up? He goes, oh, yeah, we'll put you up. And so this happened twice. And then lo and behold, I get the phone call, and they cast me in the show Billy Elliot the Musical. And so the best part, though, you guys, is that I could have been mad. I could have been mad at my career that I wasn't working at one of the major studios in Hollywood. Instead, I was working at a dance studio teaching 65 and older. I could have not shown up for work that day and not done my best. Instead, I showed up for work. I gave the best possible tap class to these women. And as a result of not phoning in, actually showing up and doing the work, I ended up getting the payoff. Next thing you know, I find myself on Broadway in a Tony Award-winning show.
That's what an amazing. And thank goodness you had those windows opened, you know?
I know, right? I know. And I had the opportunity to perform for 1.5 million theater goers. That's a lot of people. And the other cool thing about doing a Broadway show is a lot of celebrities come to see Broadway shows, and they always come backstage afterwards. In fact, I met Joe Biden, our president. I met him backstage. Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Right.
He was quite sharp back then.
And how long did Billy Elliot run for that while you were starring?
My whole run with the show was 3.5 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was the diamond of my career. There's no doubt about it. It was the best ever.
Nice. So you said that your mom owned the dance studio. So is it safe to say that that's where you got your inspiration from? I mean, growing up in that atmosphere?
Yeah. My mom owned a dance school, and my brother was my teacher. And when I became a teenager, he decided to move out to Los Angeles, and he did. And he has a school now. He's at his school for 35 years. He and his wife. Now, you guys don't know a show called Solid Gold, but I think Mike maybe is young enough to remember Solid Gold.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
brother ended up marrying one of those girls from Solid Gold.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
I'm not kidding you.
Solid Gold was fantastic. It was awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's great. So not only do you have you been on Broadway and you're a dance legend in my opinion, but you also have some other, you're an entrepreneur. You have some other businesses that you've been involved in. So one of so there's a couple I wanted to ask you about. The first one I wanted to ask you about is that you were one of the producers of a film called The Movie. Yeah, which had a really important subject matter. Why don't you tell the folks at home about that?
Yeah, the movie was called Contest the Movie. And well, actually, you guys, what happened was I'm coming outside of the stage door, and this guy approaches me with a script, and he says, Thommie, or actually, I think he called me by my stage name, by my character's name. He says, Mr. Braithwaite. He says, I've written a script, and I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind reading it. Maybe you'd be interested in participating. So I took the script, and I went home and I read it, and it spoke to me. It spoke to me big time, because it dealt with the topic of bullying, and if you can imagine being a boy growing up in an athletic Midwestern town, trust me, they were bullying me on a daily basis. But here's the funny thing though. So those same people, those same kids that are now grown adults that were bullying me, they send me friend requests. So you know what I do? I say, yes, take a look at my fabulous life and put that in your back pocket, mister.
That's the way to handle it, That is the way to handle it.
Anyhow, but
okay.
We ended up having some Disney stars that were in our film. One of them was a fella named Kenton Duty. Now, I don't think you guys probably know Kenton Duty, and the other was Catherine McCormick, and she, God, I'm trying to think of that famous show that she had that everybody watched. She was the Red Devil. Anyways, boom. Next.
So yeah, all right. So that's amazing, because I know you and I know your heart, and getting involved in a subject like that, bullying, especially with young people, it didn't surprise me at all that you would get involved in something like that. That's really pretty amazing.
And for Mr. Moody, who likes the cartoons, we actually debuted on the Cartoon Network. So there you go.
Nice.
Yes.
Very cool. All right. So I want to get to this other business that you also have. But before I do that, I wanted to ask you really quick, because you've been teaching for years now, and you've had some amazing students, and a lot of your students have gone on to do some like phenomenal shows, movies, Broadway shows. As a teacher, what's it like seeing your students succeed like that?
Oh man, there's absolutely nothing like it. I wish I had prepared. I wish I knew the questions, because I would have prepared this picture. There's a picture I have. Oh wait, maybe you guys watched the show. The show is called Country Comfort. Have you guys ever heard of a show called Country Comfort? It's on Netflix, and okay, fine. I haven't. I haven't watched the show, so I don't. Oh no, his name is Brody. His name on the show is Brody. Anyways, so now he's a big star. Anyways, but years ago, I trained him to play the role of Billy Elliot, and he did, and he was great. And there's this picture of him and I just loving on each other backstage, and it explains that question: what does it feel like, Mike? Right. This picture just tells the story. And now here he is. He's got his own show on Netflix.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Now the other one is that you guys have you guys ever seen the show Dance Moms? You ever heard of it? Dance Moms?
I have heard of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I love that.
JoJo C was on it.
Yeah. Well. When I was a kid, me and Abby were friends. Actually, me and Abby are still friends. I could get her on the horn right now. Anyways, Abby and I became friends when we were in 1992 because both of our moms owned dance schools, and we were both in the Midwest, and we would see each other at different events. Anyways, but so some years ago, she invited me to come to her school and teach at a thing called Booty Camp. Booty Camp is where the dance moms the dance mom kids train during the summer. Anyhow, and so I had this thing in my mind. I was going to, because you know how she used to always be such, what's her name, was such a favorite of hers. Somebody say her name.
Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie. I had this thing in my head. I was going to just call her out and say, listen, Abby, you favorite her way too much. It's not good for our industry. Would you please like all the kids equally? So I get to the studio, and they're all there, and I choreographed a tap number for them. Anyways, but you know who? And the rooms were packed. Anyways, but you know who worked harder than anybody else in the room? Maddie. Do you know who wanted to please me more than anybody? Maddie. Do you know who was just in it to win it? Maddie. It's a no wonder she was her favorite. I mean, you guys, she was so awesome. But my favorite is by far is Kendall. And then hold on, it gets better. And then for season 8 of the last season of Dance Moms, one of my students I've been teaching her since she's little. She was in the show, and her name was Hannah Colin. Did any of you guys ever see season 8? Hannah was the real shy one.
You saw season 8? Ellie did.
Okay, we got 1 out of 50. That's not bad. All right. So if you were going to mention something else, Mike?
Yes. Okay. So, and you had just mentioned it. So you basically are teaching a lot of these people how to tap dance.
Yeah, I teach them how to tap dance. I teach them. I coach them for their auditions, whether it's tap or jazz or musical theater.
Right. And just for the record, I have seen you do windmills at the Queens Community House, so you can break dance also.
Yeah.
But all right, so we mentioned tap dance, and so you created your own line of tap dance shoes, correct?
Did you just mention tap shoes? Oh, well, look right there. Oh, it's got his name right on the shoe. Oh, and look, if you look these are my daughter's shoes, but that's Savion Glover's signature.
Wow, that's awesome.
Anyway.
That is really cool. So what are they? I mean, I'm a novice. I know nothing about dance, only that I love it and I love watching. But what does something like those shoes sound like when you put them to use? What do they sound like? Mm-hmm.
You want to hear what they sound like?
Yes, sir.
All right. But I need everybody to turn on your cameras. I really do want to see your faces. Otherwise, it takes the fun away.
Yeah, please, everyone, let's all turn our cameras on.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
Let me move my. Oh, you guys, how cool is this? Do you guys know what this is? This is an old school chair from Halsey. One time, you guys. So, is Mr. Sriracha still there?
Of course.
Well, listen, you guys, I am a huge fan of Mr. Sriracha. You guys won the jackpot when you got him as a principal, and you can all tell him I said so. Thommie Retter says you're the best ever. Anyways, but so I was producing an off-Broadway show, and you know when you're the producer, you have to come up with all the money, and we needed 13 chairs. So I was just like, I made an appointment with Sriracha. And I told him what I was doing, and he says, I can do better than that. Follow me. And so he brings me up on the stage, and behind the curtain were like dozens of old chairs. Anyway, so guess what I did? I took 14 of them, and I still got them. All right.
Awesome.
Let's see how these shoes sound. Hold on, let's put some light on this up.
All the broken people, put your hands up high. If you lift them
All right, here we go.
up, you might just trust in love, something that can't be touched. Lift us up, all in the name.
That's how they sound.
That is amazing.
Oh, look at that. I got one clap from Ariana. You are the best. Ariana rocks. Ariana rocks.
That was great. I actually, when we first promoted the show last week, when I let everybody know, I included a video of that you had put up a few years back, just so they could get a little sample of what it is that you did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they got to see that too. Let's see. I had a couple other questions here. So what other like dance inspirations did you have growing up?
Well, my teacher, my brother and our teacher, Al Gilbert, were definitely my inspirations. And like when I was a kid, I applied for a part-time lecturer position, basically a professor. I was only 19 and they hired me. Anyway, so I taught at that college for, I guess, 12 semesters. In fact, I stayed there until I moved to Los Angeles.
Okay.
Anyways, and then the other thing I didn't mention is that I was also a professor at Pace University in Lower Manhattan. And I taught there for a few semesters.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And it's funny you said that, and Ellie's sitting right next to me. It just shows you, like, how old we've gotten. She goes, yeah, they email me every day about coming there for college.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a pricey college.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to show you a quick picture and get your thoughts on this. Okay, give me one sec.
That's the other thing, kids. I don't know, 2 or 3 years in a row we went apple picking with the Zevons, the Retters and the Zevons. Oh, look at our kids.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, that really is.
She said that she misses your hugs.
I miss everybody's hugs.
And I was looking for another picture that we took on that's one of those trips. I don't know if you remember, me and my family, we were taking a picture, and the picture came out wonderful. And then 20 to 30 yards into the background, we got photobombed by Thommie Retter jumping into the camera. And it's hilarious. The look in your face was so funny. It's classic.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm wondering, do any of the, well, you guys know who Meg Donnelly is, right? Meg Donnelly, she's like a Disney star.
Yes.
She's from
Zombies.
like Zombies and anyway, so when she's one of my students too, and when our kids, when Ellie and Bella graduated from Halsey, I talked to Meg Donnelly, and she actually filmed a speech.
Yep.
that we played on the big screen for all of the 8th graders. Wasn't that cool?
That was amazing. And just so if you students don't know, like there's always like a keynote speaker at every show, and one of our keynote speakers that year, Thommie Retter, was able to get Meg to put on to film a video that they put on the giant screen, and it really was cool. I mean, the kids
cool.
were blown away. And what was the other young man's name that came and sang for us? He was a Disney star too.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, from Sound of Music Live.
Yeah, from Sound of Music Live.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
His name was Michael Nigro.
That's right. There you go. Excellent. All right. So, any of our young people want to raise their hand, ask a question?
I want Sophia to ask a question.
Where's Sophia at?
Sophia Haran?
Where is she?
When did you start tap dancing?
I started tap dancing when I was 3. But the thing that you can keep in mind when it comes to dance, especially ballet, you cannot fast track it. It's a very long, drawn out, arduous process to get good. And it's the same with jazz. But when it comes to tap, you can, in fact, be fast tracked. One year I had a kid come to me that wanted to audition for a touring company of a show called A Christmas Story. And the mom says, oh, well, he has had some tap, but he gets there and he's literally taking his shoes out of his box. I said, oh, you got new shoes? He goes, yep, my first pair. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I thought your mom said you tap dance. He says, well, I've seen some videos on YouTube. Anyways, he hadn't had any training. We worked every day for 2 weeks and he booked the show. So tap dance, you can fast track. You can get good fast.
Excellent. Gabrielle, you had a question really quick for Mr. Retter.
Oh, it wasn't really a question. I just wanted to admit that I don't really know a lot of the names that you're talking about, Mr. Retter.
Okay.
So I can't really fangirl.
That's funny. It's
That
all
is funny. Rachel, you have your hand up. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So did you always know you wanted to did you know you were going to be like a good tap dancer? When were you like exposed to it?
You know what? I didn't really have a choice. I grew up in a family of dancers. So if you grew up at our house, you had to go to class. That's all there was to it. And there was a time during when they were torturing me with the bullying and the name calling. And I was just begging my mother, please let me quit so they'll leave me alone. And she said, no. And then finally I figured out how to make it go away.
Nice. All right, Angelina, you got your hand raised, but you got to turn your camera on.
I would, but it's like broken.
All right, so it's like, okay. Go ahead, you can ask your question.
So like what advice would you give to like kids that want to be like Broadway stars, but like they can't dance or like they're really bad at dancing?
Okay, well, so I have a friend. His name is Robin, and Robin was in a show called In the Heights, and In the Heights was right next door to Billy Elliot, and that was the Lin-Manuel show, and then later he ended up doing Hamilton. Yes. In fact, I've got one of my boys is in Hamilton. His name is Giuseppe Basilio.
Nice.
Anyhow, but the thing about Robin that I find so interesting is that he's an actor and a singer, but not a trained dancer in any way, shape, or form. And yet he still found himself there. You guys, here's the thing. As long as we talked about kindness earlier. The number one thing, if you want to make it, is be likable. You need to make people want to be in the same room with you for 8 hours a day and look forward to seeing you the next day. People that are nasty. Well, one of the reasons why Larry's coming today, and one of the reasons why Meg showed up the other day, is because the ones who make it in show business, they are rarely unkind. Almost all of the time, you guys, they're the best people ever.
Right. Thank you for that. Amir, you have a question?
It's not really a question. I just want to say this. Like as soon as
Wait, hold up. You're very low. It's tough to hear you. So talk a little bit louder, okay?
All right. As soon as I told my sister that Mr. Retter knows Meg Donnelly, she's like, "Oh my God, can I see her? Can I see her?" I'm like, he just knows her. She's not in the meeting.
That's great. That is great. All right, so here's what I want everybody to do. Everybody's going to have to turn their camera on now, okay? Because I do believe we have a special guest here with us today. And Thommie, Retter, would you like to have the honors?
I would love that. So you guys, what happened for me is in the playbill for Billy Elliot, everybody gets to give their bio. And in my bio, what I wrote was, Thommie Retter was discovered at Debbie Reynolds' studio doing what he loves most, teaching dance. Well, it turns out when kids want to be in a Broadway show, a lot of times their parents will bring them to see it. And then the parents, they're reading the bios and they see, oh wait, this guy's a dance teacher. So next thing you know, those parents connect with that actor or dancer, whoever, and then they start training with that professional. And that's exactly how I ended up. Actually, my connection with Larry was different. We met at a workshop. Anyways, but Larry Saperstein was my very first student in New York City. And I'm happy to welcome him here to Halsey Junior High School. Let's say everybody turn on your mics and let's clap in Larry Saperstein. Yay! AKA Big Ben.
How are you?
Can
You all
we
see me?
We see you, Larry. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to say hi.
All right, Thommie.
So Larry, why don't you? Hopefully, some of the kids will have some questions.
Sure.
But what I'm curious about is, so you land on, and meanwhile, you guys, the Sapersteins and the Retters are family friends. I've been over there. We've been to their house twice for Thanksgiving, once for 4th of July, and once for Easter. Our kids grew up together, and Larry comes from a very, very wonderful family. Anyway, so my question for you, Larry, is once you found yourself, once you ended up landing this enormous, big, huge, gigantic gig, what was it like integrating together as a cast, and how long did it take before everybody just wanted to sit around and hug, or was it the opposite?
Well, I heard you saying when I first came into Zoom, I still had my camera and my mic off, that one of the most important things about being an actor and being in this business is being kind and being likable and being nice to all the people around you. And I think that as a cast of High School Musical, we knew that. And we knew that if we were kind to each other and if we worked hard to be a family, then that would be part of the show and the audience would see that on screen. So we worked really hard when we first met to all, spend time together off screen, and when we weren't on set, we had game nights, we had, we went out for dinner, and we worked hard to be a family because we knew that the show really depended on that. So I would say it happened very quickly, but it happened, because we all were willing to make it happen, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. I had a quick question. So you're an actor, a singer, a musician, and a dancer.
Yeah.
So where did you start, and how did you start rolling off into all these different amazing talents?
Okay, well, so I come from a family of performer people. My mom is a music teacher, and my dad used to do community theater and stuff like that. So I was always around rehearsals, and I was always around people being on stage. And so I started dancing when I was like 6 years old. And so dance was kind of my first thing. It was the first like classes that I did. And then when I was like 10, that's around the time that I met Thommie. And I also did a production of a show called Oliver at a regional theater on Long Island. And I kind of knew that I wanted to be on stage. And so I learned a lot from just being on stage. And then when I started dancing with Thommie, Thommie was able to help me meet so many other amazing people in New York in the industry. And I started taking more voice lessons, and I started doing more, music stuff. And so it all just kind of snowballs. I'm definitely, I would say, like an actor dancer first, because I think my kind of heart is really being on stage and performing. But the other stuff has come with it. Like I've, learned more about being a singer, and I've learned more about being in a recording studio. I had never worked in a recording studio before High School Musical. And then, now with the show, I get to kind of go into recording studios and record tracks. And so it all, it's all kind of happening all at once. But yeah, tap dance, tap dance especially was like my first love. And it's really the thing that I, cherish the most, as even now as an adult.
Very cool. Thank you for that. Thommie, another one? You got something for us?
Let's see. Well, now, is there anything that you can? Well, no. I was going to ask: is there anything that you can tell us about the show that's coming up? And also, now, what is the girl's name that is in your cast that is a singer, and she's like blowing up?
Olivia.
Yeah, my daughter.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Listen, my daughter. She stayed up until midnight or 2 a.m. the night that her record came out, and she listened to the whole album 3 times before she went to bed.
Yeah,
I mean, she's a super fan. Do the rest of you guys know who she is?
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, she's my favorite singer right now.
Well, so Larry, maybe you have some kind of a fun, healthy story that you could tell the kids about your castmate.
Well, Olivia is really like, we are very close. And she really kind of looks at me like an older brother. So we kind of have like a really great like brother sister dynamic. She got me she got us like matching friendship bracelets, like maybe last year for my birthday. And it says like, mine says big bro and hers says little sis. So we are very, very close, and I speak to her almost every day, which is, she's just so wonderful, and she is so talented, and I'm so proud of her. We all are.
That's awesome. So tell all the kids here what a day in the life of Larry Saperstein is when you're on the set.
Yeah. So, being in a TV show or working in film is very different, especially in terms of like schedule and, how you live your life than when you're on stage. When you're on Broadway, you don't go to work until maybe, if you have a matinee, maybe you show up at 12:30. But, if you have an evening show, you don't go there until the evening. On a TV show, a lot of times I have to go into work at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., and we have to get there early in the morning, and we're there all the way until the very end of the day. So a lot of times we're there from like 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. or later, because it's a lot of waiting. So we show up in the morning, we get our hair and makeup ready. Say if we show up at 7:30, maybe we're on set getting ready to shoot by like 9 or 9:30. So it takes some time to get hair and makeup. You have breakfast, you put on your costume, you walk downstairs. You'll rehearse the scene for the day or for the morning, which a lot of times they'll start with a larger group scene or something like that. And then we start shooting, and it's a lot of, you go onto the set, you shoot part of it, and then you go back and you wait, and then they move the cameras. And then you go back and you shoot that part, and then you go back and you wait, and they move the cameras again. So it's a lot of waiting. So you have to kind of find ways to pass the time while you're there. A lot of times we're going over our lines. Maybe if we have another scene later in the day that we have to make sure that we're ready for, we'll look over our lines. I always bring like a couple of games. I always bring a book. So I always have things on set. You know, there's snacks around. So I always have things on set to keep myself busy. And yeah, and then the day ends at maybe like 7:30, and then we go home and we kind of do it all over again the next day. So you know, and that happens, you know, Monday through Friday for 6 months or so while we're filming the season. And then we get time off. You know, right now we're in time off because we're airing right now. So the show is coming out right now, so we're not filming. And then when the show is finished, you know, coming out, if we go back to do a third season, which I don't know anything about yet, this is not me confirming that we have a but if we do, then we would go back after the season has aired and we would start filming again, and you know, then the cycle happens again. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Were you able to film during the pandemic at all?
We were. So we had filmed 2 episodes of season 2, the 2 episodes that have already come out, before COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took a break. Then we got shut down. So we took a break until about October of 2020, when they were able to have enough testing, and have, you know, they knew enough about mask wearing and social distance to make sure that we were going to be safe. And so we would get tested constantly. And yeah, so then we shot the rest of the season from like October until February, March. And so, you know, so starting with the episode that comes out next week, the rest of the season was all filmed during the pandemic, but you won't be able to tell, because we were able to, you know, the actors were able to take their masks off while we were on camera because we had all been tested regularly 3 times a week, to make sure that we were always negative. Yeah.
Right. All right, Thommie, what do you got for us?
I don't know.
You want to? Any of our students want to raise a hand and let me call on you if you have a question for Larry? And remember, we're going to be respectful. Okay, Anaya's going to go first because I thought I saw her say that she's a huge fan.
Yeah, I'm a really huge fan. Like I follow you on everything.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to know like what you think the most challenging scene was to film, because I know there's like a scene where like you kiss Julia in the first season and that's like a really big moment, and there's like a bunch of other ones with like Joshua and stuff, so I wanted to know because that's something that I've always wondered.
Yeah. Well, you know, scenes with Josh are always super fun. I wouldn't say they're really challenging, especially with Josh, because it's kind of like this brotherly thing. You know, the Big Red and Ricky stuff is always like very lighthearted. In season 2, there are a couple scenes later on in the season that are, for Big Red especially, like pretty emotional. Those ones are hard because, you know, a lot of times I'm in a very good mood when I'm at work because I love being there and I love enjoying the day. So if I have to be like sad or going through a rough time as my character, that takes a little bit of extra work to really think about and get into that headspace. I always have fun doing the music numbers. Next week on this coming episode, there's a really cool music moment that I have that was a lot of rehearsal work and recording work to do. But you know, it's just a lot of fun. There's just always a lot of like fun stuff that I get to do, and I feel like everything, even if it's a challenge, I always try to look at it, you know, that it's fun and that it's exciting that I get to have these challenges because not everybody gets to do that.
Thank you for that. Catherine was one of the first people to join this room and was excited to see you. So you're up, Catherine.
So I just like to say hi, Larry.
Hi.
Me and my sisters are really big fans of you, and like me and my sister were just wondering like is there going to be any episodes of you tap dancing, because you know you're really good at tap dancing, and we were just wondering if we're going to have any episodes of you tap dancing.
Yeah, well, you know, the episode that just came out this past week, I tap dance in. I don't know if you've seen it yet. But so that one, there's tap dancing, and there's some more next week, I think. And then there's, there's little bits and pieces throughout the show. I feel like what's really cool about, Big Red is I get to do so many different things. And I think one of the things that we wanted to try to do this season was show more than what we've already shown and develop even further. So I get to do some other things as well as tap dancing. But yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
I have another question.
Okay, wait, where'd you go? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So another question I had was maybe like, can you say hi to my sister? Her name is Courtney.
Sure. Hi, Courtney.
All right. Shashank, you're up.
Hello, Larry.
Hi.
I don't really know you much, but I do know a lot. I apologize, but I'm definitely gonna watch High School the Musical soon. But I discovered Olivia Rodrigo like 2 months ago, somewhere around that.
Uh-huh.
And I'm definitely also gonna watch High School the Musical soon as well. Because one of my classmates introduced me to it.
Cool.
It's like I just want to know how it is, like, so I'm gonna watch the first episode soon.
So you want him to give you an entire preview of what it is to come? Well,
I mean, no spoilers though.
How about this? When the show's over, Shashank, I'm gonna send you a trailer, okay? And you'll get to watch it like that, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So, my question is.
Oh, I thought that was your question.
Oh no, that was just a statement.
Oh, okay. All right. Get with the question.
So my question is, so when did you start? I mean, how did you feel when you were going to be in High School Musical?
It was so exciting. I mean, you think you work very hard for something for a really long time. So I have always been working to be an actor and to be doing what I love. And so it was kind of like a dream come true. And so I was really excited.
Right,
oh, okay, cool.
Ivanka, you're up.
So I just wanted to like know if, working with a new cast, do you think, is it like awkward on the first day to like shoot, the film?
I think it's always exciting to meet new people, especially when you're on a set, because everyone's usually really excited to be there. And it's wonderful when people are excited to be there. And so I think, especially with our show, we always, anytime there's a new person, and now in season 2, right, there's all these new characters that weren't in season 1. So it was up to us, the people that have been there the whole time, to make sure that they feel welcome when they come onto our set. So we always try to make sure that anybody new that's coming on set, we're asking them what their name is, how they are, asking them things about them to make them feel like they're welcome. So I think we have a very welcoming set. I think we love being there. And I think people love coming to visit and coming to be on our show because we try really hard to be a family.
Excellent. Ellie Suzuki. Ellie's my hero. You go.
Hi, Larry. I just wanted to say I love you.
Thank you.
I'm a really big kid, and so I have been through like a lot of audition processes, but I was just wondering, like, what was the audition process like for show?
Okay, so I had a very first audition in New York, and then I went down to Florida to visit my grandparents, and they called me and they asked if I could fly back to New York early to do a callback. And at first I didn't know if I could do it, if I could like find a plane ticket to fly up. And they said, it's serious. Like, we really are looking at you to be in the show. And so I figured it out and I got back to New York and I did another audition, another callback in front of the producers. And then they said that they were going to fly me to LA to do a chemistry reading, it's called. So in my case, it was with Josh, who plays Ricky, and they wanted to see how we acted together because he had already had the role. Like, he already knew that he was going to play Ricky, and everybody, they had already cast him. So they were looking to see how I interacted with him on screen and if it looked, like we could be best friends. And so then I, get to LA and we do, and it's also called a network test, of producers producer session. So we're in with, you know, Josh, and there's the CEO of, you know, Disney Channel, and executives, and the producers and casting directors, and it's kind of like everybody's there watching you, which is very nerve-wracking, but it's also exciting. So I did that, and then I flew back to New York, and a few days later they told me that I was going to get the role, and then I flew back to LA to do our very first table read and to meet the rest of the cast, and then we went to Salt Lake City to start filming. So for me, it happened very quickly. For other people, like for Josh, he had the role much earlier, and so he had to wait from like October until February to start filming, but I was cast in like January, and then it happened, so it was very quick.
Awesome. Emma Kate Sienna Kremer.
So let me just say at first that I am a huge High School Musical fan, and my sister wanted to ask something.
Oh, okay.
Can I have an autograph?
I'm not sure how I'll give it to you, but if I ever see you in person, I would love to give you an autograph.
That's hilarious. All right, let's see.
I just had another question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So in season 2, when you were auditioning for Beauty and the Beast, like, did you have to actually fall when you were like tap dancing, or was that like fake?
Well, it was worked into the choreography. So, you know, I knew that I had to fall. I knew that that was part of the story. And so we worked on different ways to make it look believable. There was this very specific direction that they wanted me to fall in. So at first, the first couple of times I was falling facing Miss Jen, and then our producer and our director came over and they said, we actually need you to fall away from Miss Jen because we want to see your reaction on the other side. It was a little more technical than you would think. And so that's one of the things about being in a TV show or working on camera, is a lot of times it's very technical, and you have to do things, you know, facing a very specific direction or looking at a very specific point. Otherwise it doesn't look right on camera, but you still have to do that and make it look believable. So I had to figure out how to fall safely without getting injured, but also make it look like I was really tripping and falling.
Excellent. So guys, we want to be mindful of Larry's time. But Larry, do you have a couple more minutes to ask just for a few more questions?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, excellent. Let's go to Sarah. You're up.
Oh God. My mind is going at a million miles an hour. Hi.
Hi.
I really like the series. About a year ago, my friend, she told me about it, and she was like drilling me to like watch the series, but I was really nervous at first. But I actually watched it and I really liked it. And I was just waiting for months for the series to come out, for the next season to come out. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I had to actually write the question down, but and I came in like the middle of the meeting, so I don't really know like if someone already asked the question, but how much has your life changed since joining the cast of High School Musical, the series?
That's a great question. I think my life has changed a lot. You know, I used to live in New York City, and then I had to move to Utah because we film in Salt Lake City, Utah. So then I had to move to Utah to film, which was a big life change that I had to kind of pick up and move. I met all new people and I had to make all new friends, you know, and start a whole new job and go down a totally different like career path. And it's a lot of things that are all happening at once, especially when I first was getting the show and we were just first starting to film. Like, people were calling me every single day with details and travel plans and things that I had to remember to, you know, to make sure that I did. And, you know, and so yeah, it's a huge life change when you're first like starting and you first get that like big break. I would imagine that in the future, my life won't change as much because now my life is sort of more on this path than maybe it was in the past. But yeah, and it's been so wonderful. Like, and then again, my life changed again when the show started airing, and then people started knowing who I was, because for the whole time we were filming the first season, you know, nobody knew the show. They just heard that it was happening maybe, and they didn't know anything about us. But then when the show started coming out, then people were like, I love this, and I love when you do this. And so that was a change as well. And now again, you know, with the second season coming out, people are getting invested again, and there's more viewers. And so it, you know, there's all these things that change all the time. Yeah.
Thank you. Juliana.
My question is Miss Jen as fun as a person, like in real life, as her character to work with?
Yes, Miss Jen is her real name is Kate, and she is very, very close to who Miss Jen is. They are very similar. Kate is actually a huge Broadway actress. She was in Something Rotten on Broadway. She was in Wicked. She played Glinda. She was on Broadway many, many times, and she's a huge Broadway star. And so she's kind of the perfect person to play Miss Jen, because Miss Jen is this, hardcore theater woman, and so she brings like such amazing personality to Miss Jen. Also, Kate has her own son, who is about 4 now, and so she's a mom, so she brings that to Miss Jen, and we all love her, and she's like our second mom. So yeah, so she's wonderful. She's a wonderful person and actress, and I love being on set with her, and I love watching her work because she is really the ultimate professional.
That's awesome. All right, Vivian. Oh my goodness.
Sorry, this is just a really big moment for me. God. Okay, so my question, I also had to write it down. I said, what TV or movie made you want to get into acting?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if any sort of television show or movie made me want to be an actor. The very first Broadway show that I ever saw was 42nd Street, and that is what started me taking tap classes. So that was 42nd Street will always be a thing. I think theater has influenced me much more than television and film has. TV shows that I love like sitcoms. I love shows like The Office and Parks and Recreation. So when I found out that that High School Musical was happening and it was going to be like a sitcom, it was going to be, this sort of mockumentary docu-style show, but it was also going to be theater and, theater kids. And it was kind of everything that I wanted to do all in one. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
All right, we're gonna go to Gabriel because his actual hand has been raised the entire time, so go ahead, buddy.
Just to start off, hi, Larry.
Hi.
And are you a big fan of the High School Musical movies?
Yeah. Well, you guys are a little bit younger, so maybe you didn't grow up with the High School Musical movies. They were probably all out by the time you guys were born. But when I was your age when the High School Musical movies were coming out. So the same way that some of you guys feel about my show, that's how I felt about High School Musical. So now I'm like part of that, which is crazy. So, in a few years, maybe one day you guys will be working, with one of us or on something with Disney. And it's a really full circle kind of moment where you realize that, everything is, you can really achieve those things that you work so hard for, and that you're, it's a dream. So yeah.
Great. Mercy, go ahead. Patiently waiting.
Hi. I have 2 questions. One, how long have you been acting and singing, and what advice would you give to somebody who wants that career?
Well, I started acting and dancing about when my first dance class was I was 6 years old, and then I was in my first like professional show at about 10, and then I started dancing with Thommie around the same time, 10, 11. And yeah, advice I would give it can be challenging. There's a lot of times that you won't get the thing that you want. But the real work is making sure that you are doing it because you love it. And if you're always working hard at being a tap dancer or being a dancer or being whatever the thing is that you love, and that goes beyond theater, that goes beyond being a performer. It goes to anything that you love to do. You have to make sure that you're doing it because you love it. And if you're working at it and you're always working and focusing on getting better, then one day someone will tell you that you're doing it, and you can live your dreams. And also, are you guys all in New York? You guys
Yeah.
are well. So if you guys
Yeah.
are dancers,
Yeah, we're all New York.
Yes.
if you're tap dancers, then you should dance with Thommie because he's the person that helped me get to where I am.
That's right. All right, the next student I'm going to call on, just so you know, wins every single trivia contest we have. So just be very careful here. Laura, you're up.
Hi, Larry.
Hi.
I have a question. What was your favorite scene from season 1?
My favorite scene from season 1 was definitely the last, the tap dance for sure, with Ashlyn as well. Just because, you know, I knew that was happening the whole time we were filming the show, and so I was waiting and waiting and waiting to do that. And then it was also wonderful because I got to tap dance, and I had always wanted to tap dance on screen, and so, you know, I love that I get to do that in the show, and that I get to show people tap dance.
Thank you. All right, just a couple more, guys. There's so many questions, but we'll be here all night. So, Rebecca, you could go.
Hi. So I could imagine that this was a huge role. So, I mean, when you got this big break, how did you celebrate, or did you just like go right to Utah, started doing everything as soon as possible?
You know, I actually didn't have really that much time to celebrate until after we finished filming season 1, because I really did. It was like I got the show, and then 2 days later I had to leave and go start working on it. So it was like I was so nervous. I wanted to do a good job. You know, everything was happening so fast. And I think I really celebrated when the show was airing and coming out. We got to go to Disneyland, and they, you know, they kind of give you the full treatment when you're doing a premiere and a press tour. They put you up in a nice hotel, and you know, so they fly you out, and yeah. So I got to really celebrate when all that was happening, when the first season was about to air. Those were some wonderful memories. Yeah.
Okay. Whoa. No calling out. Sophia, you're up.
Hi. First of all, I would just like to say that before, when I found out that one of the stars was gonna be on here, I binge watched like the whole entire show again. I want to ask if you like instantly clicked with Joshua because you guys had to like act as best friends, and I also want to know if you like didn't get along with any of the cast members at first.
Well, we're all a family, that is for sure. We worked really hard to make sure that we're, you know, always being a family, and we love each other. And, you know, at this point, we've known each other for over 2 years, right? So I'm sure some of you guys have known each other for longer, and you go to school with each other every day. And sometimes you argue, or sometimes things aren't going the way you want, but you still love each other at the end of the day. And that is definitely how we are. You know, we're a family, and that will always be true for the rest of forever, because we all went through this together, and we all made this thing together. And yeah, and yeah, especially me and Josh, because, you know, we're, you know, our characters are best friends from the beginning. So we definitely had that. We definitely have that relationship.
Nice. All right, Tammy, and then we're going to take one more question after Tammy, guys, okay?
Hi, Larry. I just wanted to say I really love you and your show.
Thank
and
you.
I wanted to ask if anyone influenced you in your family, or if anyone is also actors, or like if you took it from someone in your family.
Yeah, well, so my mom is a music teacher, and she used to be a singer as well. And my dad used to do like theater on stage, and so I learned a lot from them. And I you know, I was always supported by them, by my parents, to go, you know, work as an actor. And then, you know, I've had so many wonderful people support me throughout my life. So many amazing teachers, like Thommie, which I've said now probably 5 or 6 times, but so many amazing teachers. There's a wonderful guy named Mark Tuminelli in New York as well, who has helped me with so many things, finding, you know, my manager and stuff like that. And so, yeah, there, you know, there's so many people when you're really working at being the best you can be. There are so many people that are willing to help, and I think, especially for you guys, the age that you are, take everything you can from your teachers, because truly all they want is for you to be the best you can be. So, you know, and they have so much knowledge as well that they don't have every minute to give to every single person. So, you know, ask them questions, you know, send them letters, talk to them as much as you can, because it will really help you when you're an adult and you remember that one little thing that somebody said all those years ago, that, you know, is that little bit of advice that you needed in that moment.
Awesome. All right, Alana, you're the last one to ask a question tonight.
Hi. First of all, you're amazing.
Hi.
But
Thank you.
when you first got like this character, did you instantly click with it? Because I know, like, you know, you have to like be connected to the character.
Yeah. Well, you know, so I got, basically when you're auditioning for a show like this, you know, I knew that I was auditioning for the role of Big Red. Like, there was no chance that I would have been any other character in the show besides Big Red. Like, I was walking in saying I'm auditioning for Big Red. That's what they were looking for me to audition for, right? Which is a little different than how you might audition for shows in your school or something like that. It works a little bit differently. But I was so excited because, you know, this character was a redhead. In season 1, he was in the crew, which I thought was very funny, because I did a lot of design work and I was going to school to study, you know, working as a designer in theater, which is a whole other thing. But and so that was exciting for me. And the show was just something I was really excited about. So I loved the character. I thought he was very funny, and I knew that we were very similar. And then a lot of the character as well are things that were added to the character after they cast me. So, for example, the fact that he was a tap dancer was never part of who he was. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you.
Bless you.
So that was never part of the character. It was all things that were added once they cast me, because when you do a TV show, you have that flexibility to kind of change the characters a little bit sometimes. In a show like ours, you definitely do, where the characters are very much, you know, authentic to the actors. I think has been so wonderful that I get to bring myself into Big Red.
Excellent. All right, now before we let you go, Larry, if I want to survive this night, I have to ask you just to say hi really quick to my daughter, Ellie.
Hi.
Thank you.
So Ellie actually grew up with Bella, and they've been friends forever. So
amazing.
I appreciate that. So really, thank you so much for coming. And I want to bring Thommie back on. So Thommie, come on in if you want to have any last words to say.
Well, Mike, what I was going to say is, if you didn't ask Larry to meet Ellie, I was going to do it for you. The next thing I was going to suggest, if it's okay with Larry, maybe we could pin him and anybody that wants to take a selfie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I did one earlier, but I want a better one.
All right, so let's see. What do I got to do here? So Larry's going to have to talk for him to be pinned.
Oh, hello.
All right, there he is. All right, so anybody that wants to take a selfie, now's the time to do it.
Oh. Hello. Wait, is this me doing it?
Yeah, no, you're good. You're there.
Am I doing it? Okay.
That's hilarious. All right, thank you so much, Larry. Really appreciate you coming out and talking to our kids. You know, the last year and a half has been really tough for them. So having the opportunity to do something like this has been an amazing, amazing thing. So thank you so much for coming out.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad you guys had fun.
Awesome. And Thommie, are you still with us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry.
Yay. Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, Larry.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Feel for me.
So, Becca, I see you there. Becca, don't walk away.
Bye, Larry.
Hi, Becca. I'm trying to figure out how to unpin now. You guys are stuck in my whole. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm just going to keep it that way for now. Thommie, I cannot thank you enough for coming out and making this night really happening for our kids.
The night
You know, the original plan was to talk to you, and that would have been just enough. But you really did something and made it really special for the kids at Halsey. And
Yay.
once again, you're giving back, and you're a phenomenal man. I thank you so much for that.
You're the best ever, Mike Zevon. I'm gonna see.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, kids, for coming.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
coming
you.
out.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Mr.
Your
Zevon.
camera like that.
I was literally
Bye.
fangirling. Bye.